When Joe Biden was still the Democrats' nominee, California Republicans were looking at a pretty good election cycle in November. But with the switch to Kamala Harris, do things get better or worse? Coming up, I'll tell you why I think they're going to get better, much better, with Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket in California, and how you can get involved in the fight to take back this state. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and Kamala Harris is making the rounds and letting everyone know that she's sewing up the delegates she needs to become top of the ticket for Democrats in 2024. Now, a lot of polls were suggesting across the country, with Joe Biden as the nominee for the Democrats, it was shaping up to be a real wave election. I believe the wave will continue to build for Republicans. Kamala Harris nationally is no different than Joe Biden on two levels. One, she's just as mentally incoherent, and you're going to see a lot more of that in the coming weeks and months. But she also has the same failed record and policies as Joe Biden. And I would actually argue that her record and her beliefs, her positions are far left extreme than even Joe Biden. And for that, you need to look at her history here in California. And I believe that that will happen. I think national Republicans and the national media will be digging deep into Kamala Harris's far left extreme record here in California. And at Reform California, we're all too happy to help them with our opposition file that we've been building on Kamala Harris in our fights with her over the past 15 years that she's been in California politics. Now, let me start out by saying that in California, with Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, all the polling we've been looking at Reform California, it was all indicating that even in the blue state of California, we were poised to make significant gains in the state legislature for sure, local races, sheriff races, but also even the possibility of not only holding congressional seats to help Republicans keep the House majority, but gaining a few seats, 1 to 3, possibly 4 congressional seats in a wave election. Plus, we have important ballot measure fights like passing Prop 36 to make crime illegal again in California and saving Prop 13 by defeating Prop 5 on the ballot. Those fights are so important that we win in November to undo some of the bad policies and protect California taxpayers that Democrats continually are gunning for. And so when we look at Kamala Harris, there's a few things that I think bode well for Republicans. First, why are they at the national level? Why are Democrats? And I actually have this story up at reformcalifornia.org. Take a look at our story. It's our top story today, how Kamala Harris impacts California races in 2024. Please share this story on your platforms. Also, while we're at it, like this video, subscribe to this channel. 84% of you are not subscribed to this channel, which means that you're missing out every day at 5 o'clock when we post a new episode of Reform California. The liberal media is not going to give you the take on news and politics like we do here at Reform California. We give you the truth without the liberal spin and bias. And so please help us build this platform as an alternative to California liberal media. The best way you can do that, subscribe to this channel, also like the video. But in this story, I break down the three main immediate takeaways from the Kamala Harris switch to the top of the ticket. First, let's understand the real reason why national Democrats ditched Joe Biden. It wasn't because he was a vegetable. He's been a vegetable and had dementia and incoherent for at least a year. And it's been getting progressively worse over the past 3 years. He wasn't even capable fully when he took office in 2021. The real reason why they're ditching Biden is his polling numbers were crappy. And it wasn't just on the presidential level. I don't think that they believe that Kamala Harris is going to win the presidency. I think they think, well, maybe if we switch out Biden, who definitely won't win the presidency, maybe Kamala Harris will change it up. I don't think a whole lot of Democrats, including Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, given their tepid response to Harris, they don't want their fingerprints too much on this. They don't want to get blamed after November. They're not thinking that she's really going to change the dynamics of a Trump win. What they're trying to do is help their down ticket races. Again, this is why it applies to California. There's a reason why Mike Levin in the 49th congressional district in California came out so early urging Biden to be removed from the ticket. He's in a seat that could be won by Republicans here in California in a wave election. And so the Democrats that ditched Biden, they were looking at polling showing that their base voters were not joyous or enthusiastic about turning out for Joe. This is a problem. In order for them to win those congressional seats, in order for them to try to keep their supermajority, for example, here in California, they need their voters to show up, to be excited at least about the top of the ticket. They weren't excited about Biden, clearly. Only a mortician could be excited about Biden because he might be a potential client. And so Harris seemed to be polling a bit better amongst African-American voters and some of the younger voters. And they're thinking, well, we need those voters to show up and be excited, not to win the presidency because we're probably not going to win it overall, but because we want to keep some of those congressional seats and Senate seats and state legislative seats. So that's why they ditched Biden. Let's make it quite clear. The idea that she does better with African-American voters, I'm not seeing that working here in California because first, 65% of Californians, the voters, say that the state's on the wrong track. And so they're angry with the far left liberal policies in the state of California. They're suffering under the high cost of living, the soaring crime, the skyrocketing homelessness, the failing schools, all of that they're waking up to, despite the liberal media trying to censor and gaslight the public. In California, 65% of voters in the latest PPIC poll said that we think the state's on the wrong track. You don't change that by changing the top of the ticket. In fact, in a moment, I'll tell you why it's going to get worse. Also, where we're seeing seats where we can flip the seat to the Republicans, it's not African-American voters that really are largely in play, although we're winning more of them than we have previously. No. It's the Latino voters that are coming over to Republicans in California in droves. That's where we're seeing the most competitive, winnable seats that used to look like they were safe Democrat seats, but they are now very much in play. And so we've recruited candidates in those target seats, good candidates that are working hard. The problem is that those candidates don't have resources. That's the limit that we have. So third, I'm telling you right now, this is not going to impact our plan in California one iota because of the opportunity to break the Democrat supermajority, to pass Prop 36 to make crime illegal again, to save Prop 13 by defeating Prop 5, the lowering of the threshold for approving parcel tax-based bonds. All of that is still absolutely within our grip. Plus, defending the House majority for the Republicans and even adding a couple seats to pad that majority. President Trump is going to need a congressional majority to work with if he's going to turn things around. It doesn't change our plan whatsoever. The only limitation we have isn't the operating environment because it's a very, very exciting and opportunity-rich environment for us. Our limit is resources. And one of the most important things we do at Reform California is we offer voters a voter guide, particularly in those target districts, so that they know who to vote for, particularly for school board races, because no one knows who the Republican or the conservative is running there. The voter guide also gives people a plain English description of what the ballot measures are and where the hidden tax increases are. And so to overcome the lying and manipulation that Democrat politicians engage in on the ballot, the plain English voter guide at Reform California has been hugely popular and has actually flipped seats. And so we want to expand the distribution of the voter guide in November, but we are absolutely short on funds to print the voter guide, mail it, to text it, to run the digital ads. So chip in a contribution at that website, reformcalifornia.org. It's the same site that hosts the story we're talking about right now, how Kamala Harris impacts California races in 2024. Chip in a contribution, put gas in the tank, help us fight in this opportunity-rich environment in California to flip seats and the Democrat supermajority and win these ballot measure fights. There's another big reason why, another huge reason why Kamala Harris being the top of the ticket is great for California Republicans. You see, California's liberal media refuses to tell the truth about the failings and frauds of California politicians. They cover up for Newsom. They covered up for Kamala Harris. They cover up for all the state legislators. We do not have balanced media coverage, truthful media coverage in California. But now that Kamala Harris is the nominee, presumptive nominee for the Democrats, you're going to get a hell of a lot more national scrutiny of Harris. Oh, no, not by New York Times or MSNBC or CNN. No. It's going to be by the very legitimate conservative outlets that exist at the national level. We don't have any conservative outlets in California. That's why we have the Reform California media division and shows like this to use new media, digital media to get news and information out. But nationally, we'll be able to rely on those national center-right news organizations to investigate the hell out of Kamala Harris and expose her radical far-left record. Just in the last 72 hours, Reform California has been inundated with media requests of reporters working on stories on Harris. They want to know what our take is on her dirty deeds and bad record here in California. National Republican political operatives have reached out to us for our opposition research files, and we are getting the word out there to educate and warn the American people how bad a Harris presidency would be. But what that will do for us in California is that national news coverage might be the first time many of these California centrist voters and even center-left voters start getting the truth about how far left California Democrats have gone. And Harris is your quintessential California liberal extremist politician. And that story is going to be coming out, and it's going to be beat like a drum consistently nationally. And that coverage is going to penetrate into California. And I believe that will influence votes. Makes it an even better opportunity environment for us, even in comparison to having Joe Biden as the top of the ticket. I don't want us to lose this opportunity. And that's why I am imploring you, get off the sidelines. If you've already supported Reform California, double down on our campaign. Get on the website and contribute, but also make sure you sign up to receive the plain English voter guide that we distribute. First name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. Free subscription, gives you that voter guide and allows you to share it with your friends in October when ballots hit. I'm not the only one talking about this. Take a look at Cal Matters, which is a center-left news organization. Dan Walters has a column out. California's image will be a weapon if Kamala Harris faces Donald Trump this year. You think? Harris's liberal record in California and the scrutiny that national news organizations are going to bring is only going to be a huge floodgate of help for us in California to basically get a lot of these voters to wake up and realize that the Democrats are too far left and they need to try something different. Our candidates that we endorse at Reform California, they're the something different. We just need your help to get those resources out to those candidates through our voter guide in this important election year. Time is running out. We're looking at maybe 100 days or so before voting begins in California. No, 100 days for the election. We're looking at, August, September. Holy cow, like 75 days before ballots are going to start to arrive in mailboxes. So we need you to join today, contribute, chip in, sign up at reformcalifornia.org. Big opportunities await. Kamala Harris is a liability, not only for national Democrats, but here for California Democrats as well. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.